Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 143 of Crunch Time. I'm going to be your host for today's episode. I am Tanner Dislin, and as always, I am joined by Sam Godsey, and we are the N326 duo. Sam, how are we doing today?
Man, I am doing good, Tanner. A lot going on in the sports world. I had some decent games on Monday night. MLB playoffs are underway. So yeah, man, football season's underway. Gonna be a subpar weekend, but we're gearing up in the next couple of weeks to have one of the greatest weekends of college football.
Yeah,
I am surely excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, that weekend is insane. I believe it's the 19th is the official day. That weekend is absolutely nuts. But of course, we have an action-packed episode. Sam mentioned the MLB playoffs are underway. We will have a recurring guest. Now, I think the third time he's on, Brandon Martelli. He helped us with
the
fourth time
because he was on for
NBA,
MLB,
and guest picker. So he is coming on the show to give us a little playoff preview. We have a few games underway, or a few games finished. The Dogs are barking, Sam. Two road teams in the AL pick up a game one victory with the Tigers and the Royals. The Mets are currently playing. For those of you watching on YouTube, of course, I am in my Mets jersey, my Mets hat. And for all of you who remember episodes during the Rangers playoff games, this one will be way worse because playoff baseball is just that intense. I like baseball more, and I like the Mets more. So we have a full episode, and not to mention a full slate of football. And I gotta be honest, Sam, between the Monday afternoon baseball game and the Vikings game on Sunday, I think I probably could have gone to the hospital around 3 or 4 times. May have lost 10 years of my life, but it's the price to pay being a sports fan. But of course, all of that and more on episode 143. Before we get to all of it, we're going to start, as we always do, with winners and losers. So, Sam, hit me with your winner.
Yeah, my winner of this episode is a conference that once was thought to be non-existent. The Pac-12 is back. Huge news a couple weeks ago that Boise State, Colorado State, Cal State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Oregon State, Washington State, and Utah State were all going to be joining the Pac-12. And then the big dog came in today. Gonzaga finally leaving, what is it, the
West Coast Conference.
West Coast Conference, yep. They are leaving that and joining the Pac-12, which is actually an 8-pack, but we'll let it slide. But yeah, the Pac-12's back. Pac-12 After Dark is going to be alive and well in the next coming years. So love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive. However, I do think the league should take a stand and kick out Gonzaga and say that you need to be a blank state university to join, with the others being Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Utah State, and Washington State. Gonzaga is the odd man out. But all jokes aside, as you said, they're back. I think that's pretty awesome for Washington State and Oregon State.
Yeah.
They get to be in a competitive conference again. I don't know if this will be considered a power conference. My guess is no. I wonder what the Mountain West will do now that they lost half of their schools to the Pac-12. But yeah, I mean, all things considered, I think this is definitely a good thing. And Pac-12 is back, baby.
Yeah, it's going to go from the Pac-2 to like the Pac-24 when all the Mountain West teams join.
Yeah, seriously. Trying to who didn't join Hawaii? Is Hawaii coming?
Yeah, give it to me.
That'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, that's great. I mean, it's going to be more to keep track of. But at this point, college fans are getting real good at keeping track of who's in what conference.
Yeah.
But for my winner, of course, at least the main thing going on in the sports world for me at the moment is playoff baseball. And Monday was a day, Sam. The Mets and the Braves, due to rainouts from the hurricane, had to play a doubleheader on Monday. after everyone else had finished to decide playoff spots. And there were a whole bunch of scenarios. The Mets could clinch, the Braves could clinch, and the Diamondbacks could all clinch. Those were the three teams in play. And all the Mets needed to do was win one game. And game one of the doubleheader, obviously, the one that was pretty intense. Everybody wanted to, both teams wanted to get that win early so they can relax, kind of throw not their best arms, save arms for their upcoming wildcard series. Well, it was the game of the year, Sam. It was insane. Through 8 innings, the Mets looked dead. The Braves were up 3-0. Then the Mets explode for 6 runs, capped off by a Brandon Nimmo 2-run home run. They go up 6-4. It is silent at Truist Park in Atlanta. There, the crowd is stunned. Then in the bottom of the 8th, the Braves come back and they explode for 4 runs themselves, and they take the lead 7-6. And then, of course, at that point, I was in a dark spot. Braves come in for the close. They get 3 outs away from a playoff spot, and Francisco Lindor, as he has done every single time this year for the New York Mets, he has been unbelievable. He hit a 2-run home run. Of course, you got to shout out the base hit from Starling Marte in the 9th to allow Lindor to have the go-ahead run. But it was the most clutch home run in the world. I was absolutely freaking out. Most clutch home run, at least in my lifetime, from a New York Met. And I mean, it's put a cap on an absolutely incredible year from Francisco Lindor. And I know finally people are starting to realize how damn good this guy is. Is this his 4th or 5th year in New York? He's had an up and down time, started really slow when he first got here. And because of that, New York media, New York fans, because of that, they immediately just wrote him off as a bad trade, bad contract, and nothing he could do could win them back over. Well, this year, he's having the best year of his career. He's hitting 273, or in the regular season, he hit 273, 33 bombs, 91 RBIs, 107 runs, added 29 stolen bases, so 1 stolen base away from 30-30. If he didn't get hurt at the end of the year, he definitely would have gone 30-30. And his OPS plus was 138, meaning he was 38% better than the average hitter. And not to mention, he played Gold Glove defense at shortstop. He will absolutely, certainly be the runner-up in the NL MVP voting. That year is good enough to win MVP. It's an MVP caliber year. Of course, Shohei Ohtani had one of the best years ever. So Ohtani will certainly win MVP, and rightfully so. I mean, he almost had a triple crown and did the 50-50. We all know that. But Francisco Lindor had an all-star year. He will be the all-star runner-up. And to cap it off, he had his MVP moment with that 2-run home run to put the Mets in the playoffs. And it was just an out-of-body experience, Sam, especially against the Braves. I can't love this man more. He's so good at baseball. He plays every single day. Shortstop, leadoff hitter. He is a true leader. He's everything you want in a franchise player. And I'm just so happy that Mets fans and the MLB media are starting to realize, yeah, this guy's still really good. And he's getting his flowers, and deservedly so. So Francisco Lindor is my winner because he rocks and I love him.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. I had to shout out him because, yeah, like I said, he is my favorite. It's a tight race between Francisco Lindor and Sam Darnold for the top player, or the top professional sports player in my life right now. Add Caleb Johnson in there to make it a trio. But Sam, we now, of course, have to take a look on the other side of the coin. Who is your loser for the episode?
Yeah, you talked about how good the Mets have been. I'm going to talk about the worst team in baseball, the Chicago White Sox. Just when you thought it couldn't be worse, on Twitter a couple days ago, the Chicago White Sox tweeted an apology letter to its fans. I'll go ahead and read it
it's always
real
a good
quick.
Sign.
The White Sox fans, by all measures, our on-field performance this season was a failure. No shit. As the leader of this organization, that's my ultimate responsibility. There are no excuses. I want to thank you for continuing to support the team throughout what was an embarrassing season. You all deserve better. The season's performance was completely unacceptable, and the varying reactions and emotions from our fan base are completely understandable. While embracing new ideas and outside perspective, we will do everything we can to fix this for 2025 and future. Yada, further development of players on our current roster development system, evaluating trade and free agents, yada, yada, yada. In fact, change has already been happening in our baseball operations group through this past year. When named general manager in 23, Chris Getz and his staff immediately began conducting a top-to-bottom evaluation. Chris is rebuilding the foundation of our baseball operations department with key personnel changes already happening in player development, international scouting, professional scouting, and analytics. Some of these changes will be apparent quickly, while others will need time to produce. Our organization's most important decision in the next couple months is to evaluate and identify a new manager and leadership voice for this organization. He is underway on the search, identified the key attributes and preferences for our next manager, and has already begun an exhaustive search with a wide range of candidates to lead the White Sox. Even in the worst of seasons, where at times it felt like nothing was going right, there were bright spots that provided reasons for optimisms about our future. You sure about that? The overall health of our organization is improving. Our minor league ranks are showing growth. The Double-A Birmingham Barons won the Southern League title.
Oh, that's
while Class A Cowboys reached the finals of the Carolina League. And our organization has built an impressive future pool of very talented prospects. Whether said out loud or written in a statement, words are easy. I understand we need to show our progress through action, and I commit to you that everyone associated with the White Sox is focused on returning this organization to the level of success we all expect and desire. Above everything else, I am a fan of baseball, of Chicago, and of the White Sox. Every loss this season, every blown save, every defensive miscue, every shutout, every sweep hurt. It was a long, painful season for us all. We recognize on a daily basis that it is our responsibility to earn your trust, attention, time, and support. We vow to take that approach daily as we put the work in this offseason.
You can't even get through it.
It's so good. It's so good.
We believe it.
Owe it to you and every one of you.
You believe it? Thumbs up, thumbs down. You believe it? You don't believe it, huh?
When was the last time the White Sox were like competitive for more than a year? Like consistent? Because they had a couple good years there, but
remember the first year of the podcast, I picked them to do some damage, and they lost, of course, in the wild card round. But they were supposed to be the team next up, right? They traded a lot of some assets. They got some really good prospects. Luis Robert, of course, their best player currently, was one of those names. Eloy Jimenez, all these guys, Yoan Moncada, they were supposed to be a young core for the White Sox, and they were for a while, and then it all went to hell. And they are not only, Sam, the worst MLB team in this season. They're the worst MLB team of all time. There are teams that have had a lower win percentage. However, what they consider to be, like the modern era is when they started playing 160 games. The 1962 New York Mets, which was their first year in operation, the expansion drafts, and back in 1962, they didn't have the infrastructure in place. So they were just awful. They were signing, people straight out of college, they didn't have the minor league infrastructure, any of that stuff. So they went 40-120 that year, and they were the worst team of all time until the White Sox, who now they went, of course, 41-121, as you said, and for seasons in which they've played 162 games, of course, they are still the worst, with the second worst being the 2003 Tigers, went 43-119, so 2 games better than the White Sox. Historically bad, and the owner has the gall to write that to all the fans like it's going to mean anything.
Yeah.
And like he's going to act on any of it.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely deserving of being the loser of the episode. But for my loser, Sam, I'm going to go with friendly fire. Now you might be like, what on earth do you mean by that? Well, one of the major storylines from the NFL this weekend, the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs lost their number one receiving threat, Rashee Rice, to a knee injury. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, wow, this is football. People get knee injuries all the time. Must have been a freak play. Well, kind of was a freak play, but it happened after Patrick Mahomes threw an interception and they were chasing down the ball carrier, to which Rashee Rice actually was behind them, and he punched out the ball. And Patrick Mahomes went to make the tackle and dove directly into Rashee Rice's knee. And he immediately went down, holding it, couldn't get up, was helped off, was taken off the sideline in the cart. When he got in the cart, he put the towel over his head. And just like, it looked bad by all indications. I don't think we've gotten an official update yet. I think which is strange because I feel like the MRA would have been Monday right away. You haven't seen anything, have you? Mm-hmm. I haven't either of an official update, but the Chiefs were pretty confident it was a torn ACL. It looked like a torn ACL for those of us who watch football forever. We've seen that play a ton. Looks like a torn ACL. So yeah, it sucks, and obviously you never want to see anyone injured like that. But to have it come after he threw a pick, your quarterback threw a pick, and then your quarterback was trying to make the play and dove into your knee is a rough draw. So
yeah,
that's my loser, friendly fire, and that kind of sucks. But the Chiefs always find a way, and of course, conveniently, Sam, the day or the week when the Chiefs are now looking for wide receiving help because they lost their number one option. Very good wide receiver asked for a trade today. That being Devontae Adams wanted out of Las Vegas, and he asked for a trade. The Chiefs need somebody. Of course, that's in division, so who knows if that'll actually go through.
Yeah,
but it would be a match made in heaven, and the league would not be too happy if that were to happen. But anyway, should we get into some football?
Let's do it.
Let's get into some football now. It was an interesting week of football. Let's say that. We'll start on Friday night, which in any normal week would have been the game of the week. But Virginia Tech and Miami, Sam, top 10 Miami at home versus Virginia Tech. Surely they took care of business, right? Wrong. They needed a comeback and a little help from the refs and the review system, and they take down the Hokies 38-34.
Oh, yeah. Major help from the referees. I mean, obviously, we can look at stats. Cam Ward is unreal. Probably second best quarterback in the nation, honestly. Obviously, a guy down in Tuscaloosa proved how damn good he is this past Saturday. But late in the game, you all seen the play. Kyron Jones throws it up to Daquan Felton. Looks like he comes down with it. They call it a touchdown. They go to the booth, the replay booth, and they overturn it.
A replay booth where you can't really see anything.
No. It was absolute bullshit. Virginia Tech got screwed. There was no real explanation when they came out of the replay booth because they showed that replay about 40 times. It was probably a 15 minute review. And from what they showed on the ESPN broadcast, in my eyes, there was no indisputable evidence that Miami knocked the ball out because it looked like he had possession and it looked good on my side, and supposedly a Miami guy knocked it loose, but he was also out of bounds. How does that fit into the equation? So a lot of controversy, but yeah, Virginia Tech got screwed, but Miami's got a dog at quarterback. That's why I'm taking away from this game. Cam Ward should be in that Heisman race this year. I expect him to be, especially with how crappy the ACC is, and I think Miami's just going to kind of run through that conference. But yeah,
no, I think you hit on everything I wanted to say. Of course, I mean, to this day, if I didn't watch the game and you showed me this play and you were like, "Is this a catch?" To be honest with you, I still don't know. I still don't know if he caught it. But the one thing I do know for certain is that you can absolutely not overturn it from the look you got.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I think, if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I would be absolutely livid. Should have been a top 10 road win. Wasn't, obviously, and that's brutal. Like, it sucks because I don't understand the usage of replay at times. There's so many times where I think it looks clear and obvious, but for some reason they're like, "Oh, we actually can't see that. We can see the ball's moving, but we can't see the tip of the ball hit the ground, so it's gonna stand." It's like, you idiot! He clearly dropped that. Now this one, you can't see a damn thing, and we're overturning it. It doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, Virginia Tech has every right to be upset. And Cam Ward, I love watching this guy play football.
He's so freaking fun to watch.
Dude, it looks like some guy just woke up in the middle of the night and just like wandered into his kitchen. He looks so relaxed playing football.
Yeah.
You see it on some of these handoffs where he's just standing. Like, literally, he looks like he's the analogy I'm drawing is he woke up in the middle of the night and is like super groggy and like doesn't know where he is. Like, he's just standing there and he just tosses it to us. Like, he looks like he's not even trying and he doesn't even know where he is, and he's just making incredible plays, throwing for 343 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he looked incredible. There were 3 plays that gave Miami the lead down the stretch, where he chest passed a complete pass, and then he completed a pass to a receiver on the ground. The receiver slipped, and as he was getting tackled, he made those 3 plays down the stretch were impressive. But like you said, if you're a Hokie fan, you gotta be pissed.
Yeah, no doubt. And I also do want to shout out, I don't really know how to try with this name. Tootin? Is that it?
Yeah, it is Tootin.
All right.
They're running back.
I'm not going to try that first name. But yeah, Tootin, he had a nice game, 19 carries, 141 in a touchdown. So shout out him. But yeah, Cam Ward in Miami and maybe the refs came out victorious in this one. But moving on, we'll talk about one of the top 25 matchups, Sam. The big one in the Big Ten, Illinois, the surprise team of the Big Ten, going to Happy Valley, taking on the Nittany Lions, of course, a team that has looked very good so far this season. And Penn State took care of business 21-7.
Yeah, I mean, this game looks like your traditional back and forth through the first half, 7-7, defensive battle, not much offense going. And then second half, Drew Allard decided to be a top 10 quarterback on a top 10 team, and he switched it around pretty quick. But that was not the story of this game. Penn State's defense is real once again. Held Illinois to just 219 yards, 185, only 34 yards rushing on 32 attempts.
Yeah, that is not good rushing numbers. But yeah, no, this game went exactly how I thought it was going to be. And again, I keep talking about after these games, I talk about stock. Like I'm holding my stock. I'm holding my Illinois stock. I'm holding my Penn State stock because this is exactly how I expected it to. Illinois covered. It was low scoring, but Penn State had the better defense. They had the better athletes. They're the better team. They won at home in the whiteout game. Like, it went exactly how I thought it was, how I thought it would. And yes, as you said, the highlight has to be that Penn State defense. And if Penn State's going to make it to the playoff, which it looks like there's a very high possibility they will, currently ranked in the top 10 and looking like a top 10 team, that defense is going to be the one to get them there. Now, really quick, I just want to look at Penn State's schedule the rest of the year if we're talking about a playoff We're talking about a potential playoff next or in 2 weeks. They got to play USC in the Coliseum. So they have to play USC and they have to play Ohio State. That's at home though. So Ohio State goes to Happy Valley. They have to go to the Coliseum. Couple of tough games. You split those. I like their chance to make the playoff.
Yeah, and even with 2 losses, if USC and Ohio State keep doing, they still can sneak in to the lower half of that playoffs. But yeah, they have a very favorable schedule. The rest of the way, obviously not those 2 matchups, but this team looks good. Need more consistent play out of Drew Aller. He looked like a completely different person in each of those halves. So if they can get that going, combined with that defense, it could be scary.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But now for the big one, the ranked matchup we were all waiting for, the best game of the weekend, Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, Kansas State kicked the crap out of Oklahoma State. Avery Johnson looked amazing. But, of course, the game I'm talking about, Georgia, Alabama, and Sam, a tale of 2 halves, but it did not disappoint.
Yeah, game of the year. I'm declaring it, Tanner. If you would have asked me that at the end of the first half, or first quarter, first half, whichever one you choose, you would have thought I was a freaking moron. But this second half was absolutely incredible. But this game, in all honesty, Tanner, came down to mental errors. Turnovers for Georgia, 4 with 3 picks by trash ass Carson Beck.
Oh, baby,
and
let's go.
Only 1 interception thrown by Milroe. It was clear from the jump that Alabama was the better team. It was shocking that I thought Bama's coach, I'm blanking on, is it Kevin
Kalen DeBeer, I think is how you pronounce it. DeBeer. I'm not one of the 2.
Turns out he can coach. I thought he'd struggle against this Georgia team just a little bit. I mean, we all had Bama. Yes, we know ball. But yeah, dude, Alabama is legit this year. It sucks because everyone thought they'd have a drop off when King Saban left, but they picked right back up. Honestly, they've been almost looking better than under Nick Saban the past couple of years. Honestly, as I say that, but like they lost in the national championship last year, or was it a quarterfinal? Either or, they were in the college football playoffs. But this team is unreal. Obviously, if you're Bama, you got to be looking at your defense. Not the greatest defensive performance of all time. Why collapse in that second half? I mean, giving up 19 in that fourth. Luckily, Carson Beck sucks. Like I said, threw it right to the defender down the stretch. But you still gave up 519 yards, which is insane. Over 1,000 yards this game. Combined. It was so much fun. It was the epitome of college football and why college football is the greatest sport on earth.
Yep, it was a very clear. Everyone was talking about how awesome this game is. College football is the best. It's the best sport ever. And a lot of people were saying that because this game just reiterated that in everyone's mind. Carson Beck, obviously the numbers look pretty good at the end of the game. I am impressed with his ability to, kind of flush away some of the bad decisions and kind of spearhead that comeback in the second half. However, a lot of those yards were in an uncompetitive game, and do not get it twisted. Jalen Milroe was absolutely the better quarterback in this game, and he was probably the best player on the field in this game. He looked absolutely incredible, and that's really where this game was won: quarterback play and limiting turnovers. Jalen Milroe was incredible. At this, both teams' defenses. Honestly, my take is that the offenses are just so good. The offenses are just so good. Like, Georgia's not playing another offense like Alabama's.
Yeah.
Alabama's not playing another offense like Georgia's. And so I don't think they're giving up 41 and 34 points to anyone else in college football until maybe we reach the playoff and maybe an Ohio State can make some noise and stuff like that. But maybe, and of course, Tennessee, of course, we know they can score points, but still, it's just, this was an incredible game. And Jalen Milroe was absolutely the best player on the field and the one where I think the headline should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and regarding the Alabama, it was just you knew it was coming, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, Alabama, not like what were they ranked 4 or 5 to start the year?" Which for Alabama is a bad ranking. They're currently ranked; they were 4 before this game, and no Saban. All DeBoer, DeBeer. We'll go with DeBoer. All DeBoer did was come in, keep a lot of the key guys, kept Milroe, lost Proctor for a week, and then brought him back, and then brought in a few people from Washington to help supplement this Bama team. He did lose a defensive player. It was Caleb Downs. He lost to Ohio State, but just replenished as Alabama does. And we had to know this team was just going to be just as good as they were last year. That's all I have to say about that. Bama is absolutely for real. But should we talk about some NFL football?
Let's get it.
All right. On the professional side of things, Sam, another okay slate. We'll start on Thursday. The Cowboys got a divisional road win. They won 20-15. But of course, for those of you who listened to last week's episode, you might want to know where the panic button is, Sam. Are you hitting it?
Oh, yeah, I'm hitting
He's
it.
hitting it.
This team's trash, bro. They're so bad, especially with the injuries. We suffered in this one. Micah Parsons got taken out on a cart. DeMarcus Lawrence was placed on IR. No update on Micah Parsons. You'd think that would be in headline news. I haven't seen anything. I don't even know where it went south for the Cowboys. It helps when this Giants team has 0 rushing game. They faced Dallas was giving up 185 yards on the ground coming into this one, but held them to 26 yards on 24 carries. So that's a big storyline here. But it makes you wonder if Malik Neighbors didn't get hurt on the second to last drive for the Giants. Are we talking a different ball game? Because he had 12 receptions, 115 yards, didn't get in the end zone, but he was hooking the Dallas secondary. This guy Wandale Robinson, 11 catches, 71 yards. Darius Slayton, 3 for 56. This really good Dallas team, or so we've been told, made freaking Daniel Jones look pretty like a decent quarterback, which we all know he really isn't. But on the offensive side of things for Dallas, we have to get a consistent running attack. Rico Dowdle's not it. 46 yards on 11 carries. Zeke is still fat. 5 carries, 19 yards. And you really can't blame CD and Dak Prescott. They looked as good as ever. CD Lamb, 7 receptions, 98 yards. Dak, 22 for 27, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. This game shouldn't have been close, but somehow we made one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL look good.
That's as good as it gets right there. Just pure analysis. I love it. Hey, the red zone defense was good.
Woohoo.
You didn't give up a touchdown.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, there you go.
That's a dub.
That's a dub. That's a dub. Again, what we said on the podcast last week. where the inability to work out contract disputes and to know where you're sitting at cap-wise makes it so hard to upgrade your team elsewhere. And they were in such a tough cap spot, not knowing what it would take to re-sign CD, to re-sign Dak Prescott. And it led to, some holes not being addressed. And now the big one is running back. And someone may have had a good week this week who may have fit the Cowboys well and has come out and said he wanted to play for the Cowboys. But that's a real problem. Now you're dealing with injuries. And Sam, they don't really have a lot of depth.
No.
Because, again, they just couldn't really address holes. So now Micah Parsons, again, I just scrolled through their Twitter to try and find like an injury report, their X. And I tried to find an injury report and I couldn't find one. So a quick Google to be sidelined potentially through the bye week, which is not great.
Sweet.
Which is not great.
Our two best defenders are out.
Your two best defenders are out. Sweet. It's a real issue. So, look, the bottom line.
In Zeke, we trust.
I know you talked about what it would take for you to not hit the panic button. You don't need to apologize for a road divisional win. It's a win. But, going forward, yeah, there's some real doubts for sure. And yeah.
You said through the bye week he's projected to be out?
That's just what I saw here.
So he'll miss at Steelers, who look better than anyone expected. Justin Fields is getting the start in that one. They announced today. And the Lions, who also are looking pretty good. So those are 2 games before the bye. And then we come back to the 49ers and Falcons. And then we get the Eagles, who we will probably make look really good. So a lot of question marks with the Cowboys.
That could be a 2-4 start if with the the Steelers, they look better than everyone thought, but I still think the Cowboys should win that game. And then the Lions without those two is real tough. So 3-3 into the bye week, limping into the bye week, I feel like you can live with that.
And the craziest part is we're not even talking about it being Dak's fault because he has played damn well over these past couple weeks, so you can't even put the blame on him.
Seems like the defense and maybe the defensive coordinator are not good at their jobs. I don't know.
Who would have thought?
This is a anti Mike Zimmer podcast. It will always be an anti Mike Zimmer podcast. But yeah, no, that's it's definitely cause for concern in Jerry's world, in Cowboys land. But they did get that win over the Giants. Now, Sam, another divisional game. Of course, one of our teams, the Vikings, go into Lambeau, completely dominate the first half, get dominated in the second half, really mainly the fourth quarter. Get dominated in the fourth quarter and barely hang on, leave victorious 31-29, and the Vikings are 4-0. Just like I predicted.
Yeah, exactly. Just brief mention of this. This was kind of my biggest takeaway. Why was Jordan Love in this game? And why is he throwing it 54 times? Obviously, he's better than Malik Willis, but it's very, very, very clear.
He looked rough in the first half.
He was not 100%. He's the first. He's the only quarterback in Packers history to throw 4 touchdowns and 3 picks since Brett Favre. So it's been a little bit of time, but that was kind of my biggest takeaway from this game. It was interesting to see him out there, especially in the first half, but like you said, kind of got in that groove in the second half, but he was definitely not 100%.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Was not 100%. He really wasn't trusting his knee a lot. I know Jordan Love likes to throw off his back foot a lot. that like Aaron Rodgers style of throw that he has seemingly perfected, where the two of them look very similar doing it. But he was not trusting his knee at all because his left knee was the injured one. He wasn't transferring forward. The ball seemed slow out of his hand, and a couple picks that he didn't fit into. Normally, he would fit into tight windows. Didn't have the velocity to this time, resulted in pick, or one of them at least. The other one got deflected, and then the third one was late in the game trying to take a shot downfield. But anyway, bringing it all back, the numbers look good for Jordan Love. He was great in the second half. I don't know if that's a product of soft coverage, which Minnesota definitely played softer, but then the game got tight, and they tried to tighten it up, and at that point, Jordan Love's in his groove, and he was finding guys, but holy crap, Sam. The Vikings might be really good. They might be really good. And I know the second half, the tape is out on this team. The second half, again, I keep saying the second half, there was not a point scored in the third quarter. Sam, it was 28-7 heading into the fourth quarter. It was all the fourth quarter where they got dominated. So 3/4 of the game, they had a healthy lead. They've played the 49ers, the Texans, and the Packers. 3 playoff teams from a year ago. 3 division winners. Or no, excuse me, the Packers did not win the division, the Lions did. But 3 playoff teams a year ago, 3 teams, 2 of which were division winners, and 2 of which we expect to be division winners. Again, the Packers fighting with the Lions. Going into the season, this was the expectation. And I had them going 1-3 in this stretch. I've seen TikTok videos. There's one going around all of Vikings social media where the guy picked them to start like 0-6. It was a really rough start schedule wise, and they're not out of the woods yet. They have Aaron Rodgers and the Jets next week, but to go 4-0, and they've only trailed for 3 minutes against one team. Between the Giants, 49ers, Texans, and Packers, who do you think was the team they trailed to?
Giants.
The Giants. They trailed for 3 minutes to the Giants and led from end to end against the other 3 teams. This team might be really good. And they have a legit shot to go 5-0 into the bye week with Jordan Addison, who played this week. He's only getting healthier. And TJ Hawkinson's coming back. And Sam Darnold just gets another weapon. Sam, that might be really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a new Vikings team, man. Sam Darnold has seemed to fit perfectly. It helps when you have so many weapons surrounding you, and it's only going to get better with those 2 guys coming fully back. So it's going to be interesting. The game that probably impressed me the most for the Vikings so far is that Texans win. They just absolutely manhandled them. And I would say but they had injuries, obviously. Packers obviously had some injuries. Jordan Love, like I said, probably wasn't 100%, but that Texans win really showed me how different this year is for the Vikings.
No doubt. Texans, wire to wire. Specifically, the 49ers and the Packers, those got dicey late in the game. Both of those games, the 49ers and the Packers each had a onside kick attempt to get the ball back in a 1-possession game. So that can kind of give you the sense of how close the game was. But yeah, no, it's pretty impressive. I last week I was talking about how I'm reaching dangerous levels of belief. The only thing helping my belief levels now is the fact that the MLB playoffs are going on. The Mets have been such a wild ride over the last few days that a lot of my attention is with them right now. But come Sunday, Sam, especially on Sunday, if they're able to go to London, get a win over the Jets, start 5-0 heading into the bye, we're there. We're at dangerous levels of belief. And to address the defense really quick, they were awesome in the first half. The Packers' only touchdown was off of a muff punt. That was one of the worst attempts to field a punt I've ever seen in my life. Now that they've won, it's actually quite funny. You can go look it up. But The fourth quarter, they were very soft. I'm tossing that away. The tape is more good than bad for the Vikings defense. It was one quarter on the road, up a lot. You play soft coverage. Your offense doesn't give you time to, off the field. You keep playing soft coverage. They keep scoring. It was a weird situation. But I still think this defense is good. I still think the Vikings are good. And yeah, we are, wow. We're reaching. I said we were reaching last time. We are one win away from officially getting to dangerous levels of belief for sure. But to wrap out, or excuse me, to wrap up the NFL conversation, we had a rematch, Sam, of a divisional series game. Expected to be one of the better of the weekend. It was not. The Buccaneers absolutely took it to the Eagles. Now that I think about it, it was a wild card week game, not a divisional series game. But the Bucs absolutely dismantled the Eagles 33-16.
Yeah, you think the Panthers are regretting their quarterback situation. We talked about how good Sam Darnold has looked, and Baker Mayfield looked unbelievable this past weekend. 30 for 47, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, and most importantly, 0 interceptions. The Buccaneers dominated this game. It wasn't ever close. Jalen Hurts might be bad. So that's kind of tough.
He might be bad.
When you don't have like 3 of the best offensive linemen to ever play, you tend to struggle a little bit. Eagles suck, and I really like it.
And I guess we do need to be fair to Jalen Hurts. He has not been good this year, but as you said, he was dealing with nothing in the receiving game. But we're still on bad watch. Still on bad watch, but we do need to acknowledge that his top 2 receivers were out. Saquon Barkley's still really good. He was their entire offense.
Don't use him though. Like 10 carries?
Yeah, they were down early, so they had to abandon the run. But
not when you have one of the best running backs in the NFL. You never abandon him.
I totally agree. But it's official.
Jesus.
Mets win game 1. That is absolutely huge. I've been quiet because I swear to you, 12 runs were scored in this baseball game. The minute we started recording, from the time the game ended, there were 0 runs scored.
Sounds about right.
They have been 1 or 2 runners the entire time. So I was nice and quiet. I was able to focus on the podcast, and the Mets win game 1. Absolutely huge. But back to football. Baker Mayfield's awesome. This rocks. This absolutely rocks. He's a perfect fit for Tampa. He is the perfect guy. He will always have a chip on his shoulder. He's always been disrespected, and how dirty he was done by Cleveland. I saw this comparison, Sam, and I thought it was perfect. If the Browns still had Baker Mayfield, they would be the Vikings.
Yeah,
just talent everywhere on the field, and a quarterback who's just playing good ball.
Yeah. It's pretty damn accurate.
Yeah, I thought that was a good comparison. But I got nothing else to add on the Bucs. They look awesome. They got 2 capable running backs. Talk about this for being even. Bucky Irving, 10 carries, 49 yards. Rashad White, 10 carries, 49 yards.
Ain't bad.
How about that? Their top 2 wide receivers, they're awesome. Mike Evans, 8 for 94 and a touchdown. Chris Godwin's been the better of the 2 this season. And Mike Evans, of course, we all know what he's able to do. The Bucs look awesome. Baker Mayfield looked awesome. The Eagles, they're in a tough spot. They need to get healthy quick, and they need to get better quarterback play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then I should mention there was one game we were expecting to recap, but we didn't. Because the Ravens absolutely beat the crap out of the Bills. Just had to mention that. There's no analysis, really, because the Ravens, all 3 phases, stomped the hell out of the Bills. So that was real impressive from the Ravens. But that's our NFL recap. So I do believe, Sam, it is time for Players of the Week.
Yeah, absolutely, Tanner. We'll kick it off in the NCAA realm of things. And, This dude should just be player of the podcast, Tanner. This isn't my player of the week. This is just player of the college football season so far. That's Ashton Jonty. I think he's already been player of the week twice. He had another amazing freaking game against Wazoo. 26 carries, 259, 4 touchdowns. He has 845 yards on 82 carries, 13 touchdowns through 4 games, and he didn't play a half in one of those. He got pulled against Portland State. So Ashton Jonty, just know he can always be a player of the week. We don't want to disrespect him. We just like having it a little bit different week in, week out. So for my player of the week, it's going to be a team no one really expected to be good. And that's the Army Black Knights and their quarterback, Bryson Daily. They got a huge win over Temple, 42-14, undefeated season, and Bryson Daily led the charge with 24 carries, 152 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This dude is leading this Army offense. They're averaging more points than I think they ever have. They look unstoppable. Nobody can beat them. The only team that might be able to beat them on their schedule might be Navy, which will be a game to watch at the end of the season. But Bryson Daily is definitely worthy of player of the week.
Yeah, I mean, words will not describe that Army-Navy game if they're both undefeated, which it looks like, again, with their schedules, with the way they look right now, looks very possible. Words cannot describe how intense that game will be.
Yeah.
So I'm praying and hoping those teams win out because that game will be amazing. But for my player of the week, Sam, I went back and forth so many times. They're both on the same team. They both had incredible games. I'm going to go with, we talked about him in the podcast. He was the best player in college football this weekend, or at least in major college football this weekend, and I have to shout him out. It's Jalen Milroe. Absolutely incredible. The other guy, of course, being Ryan Williams. Fun fact about him, Sam, he's 17 years old. Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that. But Jalen Milroe, doing it through the air, incredibly efficient, 27 for 33, 374 yards, 2 touchdowns. You said it. I'm going to highlight it again. Oh, and then he was their leading rusher as well with 16 carries, 117 yards, and 2 more touchdowns. 4 total touchdowns, over 370. What is that? 491 in total yards. Absolute beast. He was the best player in major college football and got a huge win for Bama this weekend over Georgia. So,
yeah, I mean,
Jalen Milroe.
He is an absolute stud. Obviously, his favorite wide receiver is 17-year-old. Did you know that? Yeah, Ryan Williams.
Oh, that's young.
He might have the college football play of the year.
Yes.
Where he tipped it and then juked 2 guys like he was playing Madden. He just makes it look so easy, just like Jalen Milroe.
The very first play after Georgia took the lead.
It's so stupid, dude.
Georgia was down. I mean, I'm sure you all watched the game. Very first play takes the momentum right back.
That dude, Milroe. I mean, I'm pretty sure I said it on the podcast. It literally comes down to who has the better quarterback. Jalen Milroe was that guy on Saturday night. So yeah, definitely deserving of your player of the week. On the NFL side, I'm gonna go with quarterback as well. Jayden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. He led the Commanders to a win 42-14 over the Arizona Cardinals. Same score as the Army Temple game. Kind of crazy there. Jayden Daniels looked damn near perfect, Tanner. 26 for 30, 233 yards, 1 touchdown. Did have a pick, so that's where the blemish is. 8 carries, 47 yards, 1 touchdown. This dude is having an incredible year. I would give him the leader of rookie of the year right now. I mean, he looks so freaking good to start out his year. He has an 82.1 completion rate, 897 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception with a rating of 107.4. He's killing it, leading the Commanders to some quality wins. I expect bigger and better things throughout the season for this kid, but he is on a tear right now in
No doubt.
his start of his rookie year.
No doubt. I'm so glad you said that because, obviously with our podcast, our format, we can only highlight so many games and just the nature of the Commanders. I mean, they're 3-1 right now, so maybe we're not giving them enough credit, but they're probably not going to be in a lot of those big time games we talk about. So a lot of guys we don't unfortunately get to talk about during the week. And Jayden Daniels absolutely deserves all the flowers, looking like the best rookie quarterback out of that class for sure. Just 4 weeks in. But yeah, and all those stats you read, they're awesome. That's not even counting his best ability, of course, his ability to run.
Yeah.
And those two together, he is looking like a diet Lamar. And I mean, he's awesome. He's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a page out of your book real quick. I'm going to do a quick honorable mention. You did Chauncey.
Yeah.
I do want to highlight someone who had a perfect passer rating. Jared Goff. Final line on Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. 18 for 18. 292 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Ain't bad.
The yardage, 292 and 2 touchdowns, that is nothing to scoff at. That is a great game. But yeah, 18 for 18.
That ain't bad.
That ain't bad. But my actual player of the week, again, I think he was the best player in the NFL this weekend. Sam, close your ears because this is going to be, oh my gosh. It's fun. Of course, it's going to be.
That's rude.
It's going to be Derrick Henry.
That's rude.
What?
But yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be Derrick Henry. And funny enough, I was just pulling up the stats here, and I'm on the ESPN app, and I just clicked the Titans game to find the Derrick Henry stats.
Nice.
Out of, how many years of doing that? But of course, Derrick Henry, he was the best player on the field in this game. He ran for more yards than Lamar Jackson threw. He had 24 carries, 199 yards. In a touchdown.
Holy shit. I mean, he had that one run.
87. He did have an 87-yarder. If you take out the 87-yarder, it's 23.
Crazy.
It's 23 for 112 if you take out the 87-yarder. So he was consistent. He was doing it. He was doing it all day. Oh, and not to mention, he also had a receiving touchdown as well. So 2 touchdowns for him, 199 yards on the ground.
Zeke better.
But for the record, Lamar Jackson threw for 156 yards, and Derrick Henry ran for 199. Yeah, he was an absolute beast, and Ravens got a huge win on Sunday night, 35-10. So
not bad.
Derrick Henry is still that dude. Turn back the clock. It was pretty fun to see. Now, Sam, what do you think? Should we jump into our MLB preview, or should we do Superdogs? Should we do Pick'em first?
Dude, it's been a while since we've had some MLB talk. Let's dive right into that.
I think that's a good call. We got to end with Pick'em, right? So we will now jump into our MLB preview with Brandon Martelli.
Yes.
Okay, we now welcome on recurring guest for the 4th time, Brandon Martelli, to talk about some playoff baseball. Mart, how are we doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me.
Dude, good all around. I love to hear it. But dude, we got October baseball ahead of us. I'm super excited for this October. Full disclosure, we are recording this on Tuesday night. 3 games are already final. And a home team has yet to win a playoff game. Detroit, Kansas City, and the Mets, baby, all take game 1. So they're all up 1-0 in a best of 3. Currently, the Braves and the Padres are up 2-0. So looking for the first home team to win. But we'll talk about the bracket first, Brandon. Really quick, does anything jump out to you in this bracket when you first look at it? Anything right off the bat?
Right off the bat, I think all the teams are, going into the All-Star break, there's not really any surprises. This is where I think all the teams should be. I don't think any the division winners were pretty clearly the division winners. So these wild card teams being, where they are doesn't really shock me at all.
So the baseball gods got it right, is what you're saying.
I think for the most part they got it right. Yeah, I don't think there's really there's no shockers besides maybe Detroit, but I'd rather see Detroit in here than Minnesota 10 times out of 10.
Certainly the way they were playing down the stretch. For me, just really quick, I love the idea of divisional matchups in the divisional series. So possibility of Tigers, Guardians, Orioles, Yankees, Padres, Dodgers, and then Mets, Phillies is pretty intriguing to me. But we'll talk about each matchup. We'll start in the AL. Brandon, the Tigers are up 1-0 on the Astros. Give me a little insight. How did this happen? What are you looking at for the remainder of the series, and who do you got moving on?
Yeah, so I mean, one big thing is, this isn't the same Houston Astros we've been seeing. Like, they've been hurt for the most part all year. Their pitching isn't as good, Who is that? I mean, I know, like, Verlander was barely pitching this year. He's not even what he used to be.
He's not even on the roster.
Didn't even make the wild card roster for starters, who started today? Javier? Valdez, yeah. I think Javier was down all year with Tommy John, so he was out. Valdez is basically, I don't think you see Kikuchi, I hope I'm saying that right, is like, he's the number 2 starter. Like, that's not good. One thing I will say is that the Tigers are, probably their better hitters are lefty, so that won't be a great matchup tomorrow. But overall, the Tigers needed to win this game with Tariq Skubal on the mound. Like, he is the Cy Young. There's no doubt in anybody's mind. And if they wanted any chance to win this series, they need to win today, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, Tariq Skubal is that dude. You're absolutely right. It looks like the pitching matchup for tomorrow in Game 2 is Tyler Holton for the Tigers, Hunter Brown for the Astros.
Oh, okay.
So a winnable game, it looks like, for the Tigers. Now, do you think the Game 1 win for the Tigers was it just a Skubal masterclass, or do you think they pull this series out?
Skubal obviously pitched really well. But at the end of the day, he only went 6 innings, I think. So 7, 8, and I was on their bullpen. And the Tigers' bullpen isn't great, I think they put in Reed Foley for the save, and they took him out right away because he gave up, hit to Jordan, hit to Bregman. They scored a run, they took him out. But I think if basically the way I feel, if the Tigers want to win this game, they got to play like they have nothing to lose, and which they do. Like, they shouldn't be here in the first place. Houston Astros, even though they're not the same as they used to be, like I said, they're still kind of the team to beat in the AL. Like, they're always there. The World Series champion Rangers, they aren't even in the playoffs this year from last year. So, Houston's been a dynasty for the past 10-ish years. So, it's any team to beat in the AL. Obviously, there's the big name Yankees, but I think Houston's team to beat, and the Tigers got to play like they have nothing to lose, which they don't. So,
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we got. We got the underdog Tigers versus, the Astros, to which you said are not the Astros you're accustomed to. Started off the season really rough, super injured, don't have the pitching. Now I need the prediction. Who moves on in this series?
As much as I want, I do think that the Astros, this was almost a warm-up game and like a wake-up game for them. And as much as I want, I think the Astros are going to take this in 3. I just don't think the Tigers, now that Skubal's down and they send Jack Flaherty off to LA, they just don't have the pitching that they need to keep going in the postseason. And I think the Astros, the starters are a little weak, but their bullpen is much better, and their offense is going to start clicking tomorrow. So I'm going to go with the Astros in 3, as much as it pains me.
Got it. Astros in 3. Sam, I need your prediction. Tigers, Astros. Tigers take Game 1. Who's moving on?
Ooh, fuck it. I'll go with the Tigers.
All right, I like it.
Hell yeah.
I like it. You're a big believer in that Tigers pitching staff.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I love it.
100%.
Yeah,
Sam loves the Tigers.
Sam,
absolutely.
Sam's all over the Tigers. This is a tough one for me. I think I'm going to agree with Brandon. I do think the Astros win. I think they win Game 2, and then Game 3 is the interesting one. I don't know if they have any pitching announced yet for Game 3. But yeah, I'm going with the Astros here. So then the next American League Series, Brandon, the Royals and the Orioles. And the Royals go into Baltimore, take a 1-0 lead against Corbin Burns.
Mm-hmm. I love the Royals in this matchup. I absolutely love it. Just because, it was going to be a great matchup today. Whoever the Royals went with, whether it was going to be Cole Reagans or Seth Lugo, you're going to get a great start out of one of those two Royals. Cole Reagans, shows up in Baltimore. I think his first postseason ever because he got traded last year from the World Series Rangers, and he showed up and he shoved. He should have gone out there for the 7th, but they pulled him in the 6th. Only 80 pitches in, struck out the last. At first and third, 1 out. They had Gunnar Henderson up at one point. Well, he was up with 2 outs, but struck out the night.
Yeah, it was
second out.
It was James McCann.
Struck out McCann, but that's not surprising.
Not at all. That
struck
guy
out Gunnar
stinks.
Henderson. Huge, and then just they kind of had all the momentum at that point still with them, and then the pulling after that was a little questionable for me, but their bullpen, which is probably one of the weakest bullpens in baseball, let alone the postseason, managed to get it done. And I love Seth Lugo pitching tomorrow. At least I'm assuming he's going to pitch tomorrow. I love Seth Lugo in that game. The Orioles have a dynamic offense, but Seth Lugo can 100% shut that down, just like Cole Reagans did. I would love, and I think the Royals are going to sweep it tomorrow.
Yeah, I also agree with you. I love the Royals in this series. Some of us out there, I'm not naming names, may have taken the Royals money line today, responsibly, of course, and may have won it. But I'm not naming names. But I totally agree with you. I love the Royals and the Orioles. I really like the Orioles. I think their young core is fun. They're a really fun team. This has been one of the most disappointing second halves ever. Now the series is not over, right? I mean, we're talking about them like they're dead, but the offense, man, Brandon, where did that offense go?
I mean, where's that offense been since the All-Star break is the real question.
Yeah,
they have not been good since the All-Star break. Gunnar Henderson, obviously, he's been good all year, but I don't believe it. I never believe in it, but it's like, have to have the question like, oh, did the home run derby ruin his swing? Which I doubt. Adley's been struggling all year. Santander is going to do his thing. Besides that, a lot of the people, Ryan Mountcastle has been good. Colton Cowser has been good. He, in my eyes, as much as it pains me, he's probably going to be the rookie of the year. But there's such a young, dynamic team that they had the postseason experience last year, and this year, almost maybe just with the way the pitching is in the playoffs, that they're not ready for postseason baseball in a way.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good analysis there. I mean, yeah, really disappointing stuff out of the O's. Even last year, I know I never really took them seriously last year. I thought that was a year early, but they got quickly swept in the wild card series, and they're on a fast track to do it again. Tomorrow's pitching matchup in Game 2. We mentioned Seth Lugo going for the Royals, Zach Eflin for the Orioles. Brandon, I'm going to agree with you. I like the Royals. Brandon likes the Royals. Sam, give it to me. The Orioles at home, do they make the comeback or do the Royals take it?
I think the Royals take it.
Surely that will not come back to bite us. All three of us on the road Orioles. So according to our predictions here, that would set up a Astros Guardians and a Royals Yankees ALDS. But we'll move over to the NL side of things. Brandon, the game the series that has a game finished is the New York Mets taking Game 1 in Milwaukee. They're up 1-0. The last 2 days have been insane. I can't even speak when talking about this team right now. Just give me your thoughts.
I mean, my thoughts are, the Mets start, there's that whole thing going around that I think, who's the Mets announcer? Gary Cohen was saying, his whole thing, 0-5, no hitter through the 7th. Like, they look dead. But, they found something halfway through the year, whether it's, Grimace, the gay Mets, whatever you want to think. But they figured it out, they turned it on, and they've been electric, honestly, since, I don't know, June, maybe? Like, they've figured it out.
Yep.
The whole, I will say, as a Yankee fan, when the Mets are rolling, and the fans from the Mets are one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite things to see when Mets fans are all behind their team. It's electric watching Citi Field in some of these
You hear that?
close postseason races. And I hate it. But it is something to see as someone who's been, to the Mets game and in a postseason battle that they were going for. And they just they have a different team than they've had the past few years, if that kind of makes sense. Their pitching isn't what it was. There's no big names like Scherzer or Verlander or DeGrom, but I mean, Severino pitched okay today, and Sean Manaea kind of came out of nowhere. He was a stud all year for the most part. He was kind of a throwaway guy in Oakland. It was whatever for the Giants. Comes to the Mets, probably their best pitcher all year. Severino needed to bounce back after his last, the past 4 years in the Yankees being, either hurt or horrible. He, pitched well today. He had a good season. And, like David Peterson's been a while. Like, they'll give you the average stuff. And then they have who, I actually honestly do think should be the MVP in the NL, in Francisco Lindor.
My hero.
Shohei Ohtani, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, great. Can't play defense, didn't play defense, didn't pitch. Lindor was a Gold Glove shortstop, one of the better hitters. I still think it's a shame that he wasn't an All-Star. I love the Mets in this series over the Brewers.
It's music to my ears. That is music to my ears. I love this team so much. You talk about all the memes, the gay Mets, the grimace Mets. The first meme, of course, was on opening day. They had their veteran of the game, Sam. He was over 100-year-old veteran. Take a guess what his name was.
I have no idea.
Seymour Wiener was his name.
Shout out Seymour.
Seymour Wiener. Shout out Seymour Wiener. Then we had a guy who went to a bunch of our games, and he dressed in like a perm and like pimp clothing. He was called the Rally Pimp. His name was Max Wiener. So we had the Wiener season turned into the Grimace season with the gay Mets, then Hawk Tua throughout the first pitch at Citi Field. I mean, all the
Cantalina?
Was that?
Cantalina? What do they call it?
Candelita, of course.
Candelita?
We forgot about the freaking Latin American pop star playing second base every day for my goddamn favorite baseball team. It is memes all day, but right now they're rolling. They take game one. And sounds like you're on the Mets for the rest of the series.
I am on the Mets for the rest of the series. Just giving our prediction, I do think it'll be the Mets in 3. I think it's just a shame that they had to play that doubleheader, on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it kind of takes people out of it. Luckily, they won the first game, so they were able to pitch Joey Fuego in the second game, kind of save their arms. But I just, their pitching is okay. I just think the Brewers, they're just young, they're scrappy. They hit for contact and they have a lot of speed. So I do think that they'll give you a fighting chance. I think they'll take one because they had the Mets number the whole season.
They did.
I think they won 5 out of 6. Yeah.
Yep.
So I do think the Brewers will have a fight tomorrow, but at the end of the day, the Mets just have too many guys, too many veterans. Not necessarily that have been there, but they've Pete, Francisco, JD, even Bader. Bader was a postseason hero for the Yankees, 2 years ago. Starling Marte's been there. I just think they got too many guys that need to almost prove themselves to not win this series, especially after everything they've been through this whole year. So I'm going to go with the Mets in 3.
All right, I like it. Pitching matchup on the horizon. Sean and I going game 2 for the Mets. The Brewers currently undecided. It was, it seemed like it would be Aaron Savali going in game 2, but he had to come in game 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the Braves are planning to do, the Brewers. I've been saying Braves the whole time. What the Brewers are planning to do with their starting pitcher. But yeah, Mets got my eye on the mound tomorrow, and because of the lead, they only used 3 pitchers, and then in game 2 of the doubleheader on Monday, they pitched Joey Lucchesi, and then everyone that came in out of the bullpen in game 2 also pitched in game 1. So they were able to save some guys that way. So it's
my guess would be Tobias Myers, the rookie, is probably going to pitch for the Brewers tomorrow.
Gotcha.
He had a pretty good stat pitching against them. He faced the Mets earlier in the year. He went 5 shutout innings, something like that. Yeah. So that would be my
going to be the case for pretty much all Brewers pitchers this year. And I just, out of all the things in the world, why not be optimistic? I'll pick the Mets too. Sam?
Give me the Brewers.
Of course. There's Sam. And then the last series, or the last wild card series, of course, is the Padres and the Braves. Quick update. The Padres added another run, currently 3-0. Padres in I believe it's the second or third inning. But Brandon,
them too.
Who do you got here?
I got the Padres in 2. Not even a question. I love the Braves. They're just once Sale went down and they kind of had to scrap for this. Who was going to? I mean, I don't even think this guy who was pitching today was even on the roster on Monday. Like Chris Sale going down, not on the wild card roster. I don't even think. They're going to have Fried tomorrow. I think their starting pitching is good enough, but they're going to. I would be shocked if they won this game, and then I just think the Padres are just. I know I'm going to say when I do the preview how complete the Phillies are, but I think the Padres are one hell of a team. It's just unfortunate that they play in the Dodgers division. They don't strike out. Batting champion. Tatis is electric. Jackson Merrill, potentially rookie of the year in the NL. Paul Skeens obviously is going to make that a little hard. Machado. I think Xander Bogaerts could step up. He's been off, but he's a guy with World Series experience, with playoff experience. He should step up. I think the Padres have too much on their side, and the Brewers have the Braves, have just too many injuries and too many things to deal with. I'm going to go with the Brewers.
With the Padres.
Padres. Who said Brewers?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Brandon, this is not good because I agree with every single word you said. I am all over the Padres this series. Spoiler alert, I think the Padres beat the Dodgers in the next series. But I am all over the Padres this postseason. They got the starting pitching, Michael King in the one spot. Then, of course, you've got Dylan Cease. You've got Joe Musgrove. These are guys who have done it in their postseason before. Joe Musgrove was an absolute demon in that postseason, specifically in that game against the Mets. My full faith in the Padres. I think this team is really freaking good, and I think they make quick work, as you said, of the very injured Braves. No Chris Sale, of course, no Spencer Strider all year. The starting pitching is in a rough spot. You said they got Fried going tomorrow. Of course, Schwellenbach, the only other really good name they had going this year. He had to pitch in that doubleheader and pitch competitive pitches because he pitched game 1.
And even they had to use Ronaldo Lopez, too, who's been a solid pitcher for them, too. So
they had to use Ronaldo Lopez out of the pen. They had to use everybody to get into the postseason. I'm all over the Padres here. And as I said, in the future as well. But yeah, that's a quick look at all the wild card series. So for the NL, that would be Mets, Phillies, and Padres, Dodgers. I think we should go through each team now. We're going to start all the way back with the Tigers. And Brandon, I just want a quick 1-sentence reason. Maybe sometimes I'll give you 2, but quick reason as to why each team can win the World Series. Okay?
Yep. Sounds
all right.
Good.
Let's do it. Let's start number 6 seed Tigers.
6 seed Tigers, they have nothing to lose. Tyreek Skubal, Cy Young.
Yeah.
That's it.
I like it. Tyreek Skubal needs to have a Madison Baumgartner-esque postseason for this team to make noise. I totally agree with that. I love it. All right. 5 seed the Royals in the American League.
Bobby Witt Jr. is a superstar, and they have the best 1-2 starting punch in baseball, probably. In the postseason, I should say.
All right. Best in baseball. I like it. 4 seed Orioles.
Young, dynamic offense. That's
times.
really it. At times. Yeah. Should be dynamic offense on paper.
I like it. Should be dynamic offense on paper. The 3 seed Astros.
Astros are the Astros.
I like it. That's great. Be the Astros.
Be the Astros.
A new team we haven't talked about yet. The 2 seed Guardians.
J-Ram is really good. Get a lead for Class A.
I like it. The shutdown in the late innings. You're going to the ninth. You know you're going to win when you have Clase as your closer. And then, of course, the 1 seed, Yankees.
Aaron Judge and Soto are really, 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 really good. But others need to step up behind them.
No doubt. No doubt. Jazz Chisholm.
Jazz, Wells, Stanton. Those are my 3 guys that need to.
Wells. That's what I was trying to think of. Jazz,
Wells, Stanton. Those are my 3. I wouldn't say wild card, dark horses, X factor, but Judge and Soto are probably going to be Judge and Soto. Those 3 need to step up behind them.
Right. Okay.
And pitching, but
I like it. 6 seed Mets in the NL.
6 seed Mets is momentum's on their side. Too much.
Ride the memes.
That's it. Ride the memes. Momentum is on the Mets side.
Ride the memes. I like it. The 5 seed Braves.
For the 5 seed Braves, I think their bench players got to step up, try to replace the stars that you've lost.
Very, very injured team. I really only talked about their injuries to their pitching staff. Of course, Austin Riley is out. Ronald Acuna is out. We all know their situation. Gonna need guys like Gio Urshela. Of course, Ozzy Albies is playing in the series. He's got to play like a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree with you there. 4 seed Padres.
4 seed Padres. I just they they won't strike out, and their bullpen and rotation is so solid.
All right. Yeah, totally. The 3 seed Brew Crew.
The Brewers they got young stars they have a lot of good contact, and honestly they got a lot of speed on their team and they need to use it.
Speed. That was certainly a storyline in game 1 in the early innings when they were scoring runs. Speed. Totally agree. 2 seed Phils.
They're probably the most complete team, offensive wise, pitching wise, bullpen wise, bullpen starters. They got too many vets on their team at this point, and they've gotten so close too many times.
Yeah. Be the Phillies and protect the bank, I think is a good way to put that. Win at home, the bank will be absolutely rocking. And then lastly, the 1 seed Dodgers.
I mean, you have the big 3. You have it's kind of like the Warriors of baseball here in the Dodgers with Betts, Freeman, Ohtani. They're gonna. It's hard to beat those 3 in a series.
It really is. It really is. I like it. To wrap up the segment, really quick, because talked a lot of football. Don't want to go too long on this episode. I want to get you back to your life. But so you've got the Tigers, the Astros, the Royals, the Mets, and the Padres. So that leaves a Astros, Guardians, ALDS. Who's winning?
I think the Astros win. I don't think the Guardians are set up for a best of 5 series like that.
Fair enough. Then you've got the Royals, Yankees.
I'm gonna go Yankees just because that's gonna Royals Yankees. You're not gonna see Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans probably until at least game 3.
Right.
I think Yankees take game 1 and 2 if that's the case, and then scrap together 1 game in 3 days.
Sure. Then we've got Mets, Phillies.
I'm sorry, but I have to go with the Phillies. Just too complete of a team, and I just think there's a little too many question marks especially with the Mets bullpen in a way.
Sure.
I'm going to go with the Phillies.
Hey, these are your predictions, man. No need to apologize. And then we've got Padres, Dodgers.
This is the toughest one I have involved in.
Uh-huh.
I really do. I'm going to go Padres. Dodgers always lose. They never make it to the World Series.
I like it. Padres. So in the American League, Yankees, Astros, ALCS, a sight all too familiar. Who wins this one?
It's going to be the Yankees' year this year, man.
It's going to be the Yankees' year this year,
The Yankees' year.
All right. Then in the National League, Phillies, Padres, rematch of the NLCS in 2022. Who you got?
I really want to go Padres, but I got to go Phillies.
You're going Phillies. Yankees,
We're going
Phillies.
2009.
My worst nightmare, 2009. That would be the best way to cap off this just up and down Mets season, to where the emotion of making the playoffs, maybe even winning a series, and then of course the Yankees and the Phillies make the World Series. That would be some shit. But who wins, Yankees or Phillies?
I don't want to give you my honest answer. I really don't.
All right. His honest answer is the Phillies. He wants to say the Yankees.
On the record, I'm saying the New York Yankees.
On the record, he's saying the New York Yankees.
Do I believe it?
Awesome.
That's to be determined in a later episode.
All right. So he's got the Yankees, we think, in the World Series. Sam, real quick.
Oh, man.
World Series prediction. Who's making it and who's winning?
Give me the Padres. And let's get crazy. Let's go with the Royals.
Padres, Royals. Who wins?
Padres.
Dude, I agree. I think I'm going with the Padres out of the NL. I think they beat the Dodgers, and then they just parlay that, beat the Phillies. That's going to be an awesome series, by the way. Padres, Phillies. I think in the American League, I do think the Yankees beat the Astros as well in the ALCS. That leaves the World Series, and I'm rolling with the Padres. They are an absolute wagon this year. I really like this team. I think they are complete for all the reasons you said. So I'm going Padres over Yankees. Brandon, you've got the Yankees over the Phillies. Sam has got the Padres over the Royals. I love it. I love it. Well, Brandon, any final thoughts regarding this MLB postseason?
There's nothing better than postseason baseball. And
care to comment, Sam?
What do you think is the best?
I'll throw the red flag, but continue.
So like I said, there's nothing better than postseason baseball. And no matter who wins, who loses, you just gotta enjoy the game for what it is. Enjoy the
game for what it is. No, I
enjoy the atmosphere and just it's such a beautiful game.
I agree with you. One of us on the desk might not. But man, thank you so much for coming on, talking about some playoff baseball. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
It's always a pleasure, gentlemen.
All right, Brandon. All right, special thank you to Brandon for coming on and talking about the MLB playoffs. But now it is that time to make some picks. And now we welcome on Blake Baumgartner to come on and make some picks as our guest picker. Blake, how you doing today?
Good. How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me on tonight.
Of course, we appreciate you coming on. Let's get right to the picks. We'll start off in college as we always do. Number 9, Missouri travels to College Station, takes on Texas A&M, fresh off their victory over Arkansas. The Aggies are -2 in this game. Blake, who you got?
So I got Missouri in this game, even though they are not the favorite and it's on the road. I got Missouri. I think they just got a better overall team. They're coming in hot from last year's good season, and I'm just going to roll with Mizzou for this game.
Just rolling with Mizzou. Sam?
Yeah, not much to add. Texas A&M played a backup last week. Unfortunately, got done over the Hogs, but I think he's going to struggle a little more with this Missouri defense, so give me Mizzou.
I think we're going to be 3 for 3 here. I really like this Mizzou team. I've been all over them in the past. I just think they get it done against Texas A&M for all the reasons you guys said. So all 3 of us on Missouri, we're off to a rip-roaring start here. Next game, we'll go to the ACC. SMU goes to Louisville fresh off of their loss to Notre Dame. The Cardinals are 7-point favorites at home. Blake, who you got?
I'm going to roll with Louisville on this one. I just think that they're just the better team in this game, and I think that they're going to bounce back, and they got a solid team this year. They're ranked, so I'm going to roll with Louisville.
Yep. I think they could have gotten it done last week. That game was close against Notre Dame. I think they have the talent to take on Southern Methodist and come out with a win at home.
2 straight sweeps. So I love it. We, when deciding what games we were going to be picking, we thought this may happen because the slate isn't as good as it was last week. Let's just say that. But I'm also on Louisville. Nothing to add, more so than you guys have already said. But this next one, I feel like we might have some disagreements here. Washington welcomes in Michigan in their first really big-time Big Ten game. The Huskies are 3-point favorites at home. Blake, who you got?
Okay, so this one, most people are probably going to go with Michigan, I would think, because they are higher ranked and they just, I mean, from last year, they're the national champions, but I'm going to go with Washington on this game. I think Washington will pull it out just because they have a solid team. They have a new coach from Arizona. I think they'll do pretty good. And also, Washington has not lost at home in over I think 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to roll with Washington on this one.
Yeah, I am also rolling with Washington here. I just don't trust Michigan. They haven't got their passing game going all season. I really like Will Howard. I think he's one of the underrated quarterbacks of college football. So give me the Huskies here.
Yeah. Not so fast, my friend. I am going to take the bait on Michigan. I'm going to take the bait. Look, neither team has really been all that impressive. Michigan has the signature victory over USC. I'm really interested in how this Michigan team will play on the road. If I'm not mistaken, they haven't gone on the road yet this year.
I don't think so.
But the second half against Minnesota is cause for concern. They almost blew a 24-3 lead. But yes, Washington has not lost at home in a while, but they no longer have Michael Penix. They do have Will Howard, as you said, but I'm going to trust Michigan. I think Washington has another welcome to the Big Ten moment where Michigan's just the more physical team. They're able to run the ball similar to how they did against USC. I'm going with the Wolverines on the road. But our last game in the college football slate, we're going to the Big Ten because Rutgers, who beat Washington last week, is going to Lincoln to take on Nebraska, who beat Purdue a week ago. Nebraska, 7-point favorites. Blake, who you got?
All right, so I got Rutgers in this game. I think they have a really good running back. Their team has just improved a lot over the last couple of years. And even though it's on the road, I'm going to pull with Rutgers. Nebraska, they had a tough home loss against Illinois. So I think they're going to still be sleeping through that one, and I'm going to take Rutgers for this one.
Rutgers. Interesting.
Yeah, this game is going to be a close one. Probably the best of the college football slate on Saturday. But not so fast, Blake. Give me Nebraska. Go Big Red. Going to be loud and proud at Lincoln Memorial on Saturday. So give me Big Red here.
We got a Sam Godsey Go Big Red. We are never going to get that in our lifetime. Hopefully, I was going to say hopefully someone's recording. It's a podcast, you idiot. We're recording. So we're going to have to clip that because we will never get it again. But Sam, I agree. I'm going to go with Nebraska in this game. I've been impressed with Rutgers. I doubted them a week ago against Washington. The hook got me on the Superdog, which kind of sucks, but they did come out victorious, and they had a bigger lead than what the final score actually showed. Ethan Kaliak-Manis, their quarterback for the Minnesota transfer, has come in. He's played good ball. Rutgers has had a great start to the season, but I just think Nebraska is the better team. That loss against Illinois, it surprised me. I thought Nebraska would win that game before they actually played the game, but I just think Illinois is much better than anyone thought. I love that Illinois team. I think they're playing great ball. So I'm going to go with Nebraska to get it done over Rutgers. But now we're going to move on to the NFL, another interesting slate over with the pros, but we'll start in the NFC South. The Bucs, who, dismantled the Eagles last week, they're taking on the Falcons, now winners of a couple in a row. Kirk Cousins and company are 1.5-point favorites. Blake, you going with the Falcons? You going with the Bucs?
So for this game, I'm going to go with the Bucs. I think Baker Mayfield is just having a great season so far. He's perfect fit with the Bucs compared to his last couple of stints with other franchises. But I'm going to go with the Bucs on this one. Even though the Falcons, they have a pretty good record, but they've barely gotten by and had a few close losses. So I'm just going to pull for the Bucs for this one. I think they're going to pull it out.
Sam?
Yeah, love that pick, Blake. I just don't trust this Falcons offense, man. It's more that I love Baker Mayfield. He's played great, like Blake said. But for some reason, the Falcons just don't use Bijan, which makes no sense to me. Last week, only 28 yards on 7 carries. It doesn't make much sense to me. I think that's going to cost him to a better opponent, the Bucks. So give me the Bucks.
Arthur Smith, is that you? Not using Bijan? But not so fast, everybody. Not so fast. I love the Bucks. The game against the Broncos is kind of skews me out a little bit. I'm not quite sure what happened to the Bucks that game, but I like what this Falcons team is doing right now. A couple of big time home wins this season. They started out rough with the Steelers. We all know what happened in that game, but since then, a win over the Eagles, a comeback win over the Eagles. And then a win over their division rival, the Saints, in a hard-fought battle this past weekend. And then they competed with the Chiefs as well. Obviously, the Chiefs will always and forever find a way to win games. And then this game, of course, had that controversial no pass interference call that I thought was a big-time missed call in favor of the Chiefs. So I kind of like this, what the Falcons have been doing at home. Kirk Cousins kind of has that offense going. I do agree, Sam, they do need to use Bijan more and get Kyle Pitts involved this week because he was held without a reception against the Saints. But they still won that game without their tight end getting involved. I think they put it all together and put together a big-time game against the Bucks, and that would move Atlanta to 2-0 in the division. So I've got the Falcons there. But we'll move on. The battle of the number one overall picks in the past 2 years, or the teams with the pick, because we all know what happened to one of those picks. But we have the Panthers going to Chicago, taking on the Bears, fresh off of their win against the Rams. The Bears are 4-point favorites. Blake, who you got?
So for the Bears and Panthers, one quick thing about that game is these two teams are not good. It's two of the bottom pack teams. They're just downright awful. I would say I think the Bears have the greatest upside, but the Panthers now switching out and benching Bryce Young, they're looking better with Andy Dalton. With Andy Dalton, they only lost to Bengals by 10 points, but I think that Caleb Williams will be able to have a somewhat decent game and come out between two of the worst teams in the NFL here.
Now, let me tell you, if he wins this game, do you expect another hip, hip, hooray celebration from Caleb Williams? I don't know if you saw that when he was leaving the field. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It was the craziest celebration I've ever seen. He's never beaten the allegations, by the way.
No.
He never is.
Never.
But he's rolling with the Bears. Sam?
Not so fast is the Andy Dalton. No, it's not. I take that back. Why did I think this was a revenge game?
Last week was the revenge. No, Andy Dalton played for the Bears.
Did he?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I think he did, was it a couple years ago?
100%.
Was it before the Cowboys, I think?
I'm double checking that right now, but my official answer is that he played the Bears. He played for the Bears. And he was on the Bears in 2021, 1 year after the Cowboys.
Revenge game or not, I'm taking the Panthers. Give me the Andy Dalton-led Panthers. Somehow, some way, he makes this team look good when, like Blake said, they are downright awful. And I just don't like Caleb Williams. So that might have a big influence on this one, but give me the Panthers here.
Sam rolling with the Red Rocket. It's tough. I've gone back and forth. But you know what? I just think the Bears defense at home is going to be too much. This is a good defense. Bad football team. I agree with you, Blake, with that. But good defense. I think they will be able to keep the Red Rocket. As tough as it is, they'll keep him in check. And I think the big development for the Bears coming off of last week was getting DeAndre Swift involved. I think if they're able to run the ball, get him involved like they did a week ago, this offense gets better. An offense that has really struggled to start the season. They get a lot better if they add that ability to their offense. And I think they may have unlocked something. So I'm going to go with the Bears at home on the back of that defense. The third game, we will be picking the Ravens. We all know what happened. The Ravens absolutely dismantled the Bills on Sunday night. They go to Cincinnati. Did the Bengals find new life with their win over the Panthers? We'll see. We'll see on Sunday. The Ravens are 2.5-point favorites in Cincinnati. Blake, who you got?
All right. So here, Sam knows I'm a big Bengals fan. And my first thought was that even though they're 1-3, I thought they'd be able to beat the Ravens at home. But after watching just the first four games and even against the Panthers, like the Bengals only won by 10 points against the Panthers, and their defense is just not the same this year. Like in the last few years, Lou and Aroma, like they would have good defenses, solid defenses, that could just, limit points, prolong the drives and just limit points and all that. But I don't know, man. The Ravens just looked really good last week, so I'm gonna pull with the Ravens here, and that'll make Bengals go 1-4, and it'd be a hard time to make the playoffs if they start 1-4.
Yeah, I like that pick. I was actually on the same boat as you. I was leaning towards the Bengals. The Ravens just hadn't gotten one guy really going, and they did last week, and they led him to just be an absolute dog. And of course, I'm talking about Derrick Henry finally got involved in that offense. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, what a freaking duo. Give me the Ravens here.
Great picks, everybody. I think the Ravens really unlocked something. I totally agree with what you said, Blake. The defense is really struggling in Cincinnati, and that rushing attack from Baltimore. I mean, if you can just lean on Tractor Cito to give you 199 yards and a touchdown, and then not to mention the most dynamic rushing quarterback in the game, that's a really tough recipe to crack. And I think the Ravens get it done on the road in a divisional game. And the Bengals, I mean, they're letting up over 145 rush yards per game right now. And then we all know what the Ravens can do in the run game. So I think, I'm going to go with the Ravens. They control the line of scrimmage and they get it done on the road. But lastly, we will go, what a great matchup in the AFC to close it out. The Bills did not have success in Baltimore last week. They got to go to Houston, take on the Texans, who barely beat the Jags. The Texans are 1.5-point favorites at home. Blake, you know what I'm going to ask? Who you got?
So my first original thought for this one too was also to roll with the Texans. They've been playing pretty well. They've been winning at the end of the games recently, but the Bills, I mean, you can't say they're going to lose twice in a row. I think they're going to be able to bounce back in this game, and I think that they'll be able to pull off this win here, and a crucial win so they don't lose two in a row. And so I'm going to roll with the Bills.
Got one for the Bills.
Not so fast, Blake. Give me the Texans. These teams seems they're competing week in and week out in these close competitive games sometimes, and then they just lay a stinker and get beat. These teams are very similar, but I just think CJ Stroud has been playing more consistent ball compared to Josh Allen. So give me the Texans in this one.
You're going with the Texans. This is a really, really tough matchup. As you said, a week ago, I'm rolling with the Bills comfortably.
Yeah.
Then, the Bills get ransacked in Baltimore. The Texans don't look great against the Jags. Not a great week for either teams. I'm just going to go with who I think is the better quarterback and who has been playing better football, barring, of course, last week where he didn't look very good. But I'm going to go with Josh Allen and the Bills on the road. I think they get this one done in a dome. In a dome. Josh Allen not used to playing in a dome. I think that only helps him with his, insane arm talent. We all know what Josh Allen can do. So I'm going to roll with Josh Allen and the Bills on the road. 1.5-point dogs to get a big win in the AFC. And as you said, Blake, not lose two in a row. But it's that time. We got time for some Superdogs, baby. Blake, I got to let you know, we are on a little bit of a trend here. We've had 3 guest pickers now, and all 3 have lost their Superdog. So we need a winner, and I'm thinking you can give it to us. Who you got as your Superdog this week?
Heck yeah. So I was looking into the Superdog picks just through all the conferences, major conferences, and I had a hard time finding one until I went to the ACC, which was my last conference to look at through the Power Four. And with that, I saw that Duke is, I think right now they're a 9-point underdog to Georgia Tech on the road. while Duke is 5-0 this year, Georgia Tech, they beat Florida State, right? So this year they looked really good on the first game of the year. Beating Florida State was a top 10 team, I think, at that time. But Florida State has really turned out to be not so good. But also, Duke has Manny Diaz. He was Penn State's defensive coordinator last couple of years. They've been rolling out some gritty wins this year. They're still 5-0. I think that they're going to be able to get it down to one possession, maybe even win it outright here, even though it's on the road at Georgia Tech, I think.
I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Duke, they lost.
Wow.
They lost their head coach to Texas A&M, brought in Manny Diaz, as you said, brought in Malik Murphy from Texas to play quarterback. 5-0, a huge win over UNC a week ago. They were down, I believe, 20-0. If not, it was 17-0. They were getting absolutely smoked in the first half, completely turned it around. Come from behind win for Duke. I like it. And what line were you looking at again? What was the line?
I thought that they were 9-point underdogs.
9. All right.
That's great.
+9.
Yeah. Yep,
That's crazy.
+9 right now. They're 5-0. Georgia Tech's 3-2, and it's on the road at Georgia Tech. It is a night game. That is one thing that might scare me. Is it's 7:00 night game. But I don't know. I think Duke will be able to pull that one off, or they'll be able to lose close.
There you go. That's all you need in Superdog. Just get on the board.
Yeah,
for my Superdog, I'm going to the Big 12. Now, I was debating between two teams here. And I looked at this Texas Tech Arizona game. This one's going to be very interesting. And then I took a look at Texas Tech schedule, and I realized they don't play a lick of defense. They gave up 51 to Abilene Christian. Gave up 37 against Washington State. North Texas even scored 21. Arizona State 22. Cincinnati 41. So not even stellar opponents. Arizona coming off a big win last week. I don't remember who they played. Let me pull it up here real quick. They beat Utah 23-10 in some late night action on Saturday. So that made me turn to this team. And this, take me on, country road, to the place I belong, Virginia. Give me the Mountaineers +3.5 against Okie State. I've lost all faith in Okie State. Ollie Gordon is not that dude. I'll go out and admit it. Okie State has looked like crap. I went with them last week, bit me in the butt, not doing it again. I like West Virginia and what they've done so far this season, been competitive in all their games. Their record doesn't show that, but they are given 3.5 against Okie State. Okie State on the downturn. So give me West Virginia +3.5 against Okie State.
I got no words from that rendition, man. That was excellent.
Thank you.
That was really well done.
Thank you.
That was really well done. Rolling with the Mountaineers. You know what? Third different conference. I'm going to go to the Big Ten. Give me Minnesota at home.
Minnesota.
Yes, of course. To channel our inner Joe Biden. Minnesota. They're getting 8.5 points at home. USC comes to town. Now, this team has been a little bit of a different team on the road. Of course, they went to Michigan. And did not play all that well. They choked that game away. Michigan just ran it down their throats. Now Minnesota put together a pretty good second half against Michigan. They covered that spread. They got screwed out of an onside kick where he was not offsides. But the refs called him offsides. Michigan getting saved by the refs. Who is surprised? But they got screwed out of that one. They should have had a chance to tie the game or even take the lead in that. So give me Minnesota at home. I think they've looked better since the big bad Iowa Hawkeyes rolled into town and dismantled them in that second half. But give me Minnesota at home, man. I don't think USC is a different team on the road, and it's a night game. I think Minnesota is going to be rocking, and the Gophers cover the 8.5.
I like it a lot.
See, the one thing about that pick is I don't mind it, but if it was later in the year, oh, for sure, give me that pick. Because who wants to go to Minnesota when you're from California and you're playing in the cold and snow? So I like it.
That's definitely true. It would be worse to go in November when it is quite cold. Real quick, I'm just going to do a temperature check because I mean at night it might get chilly. I mean it might get down to like the 50s. Minneapolis on Saturday. Oh God, no. The high of 78, low of 51.
Oh.
So it's going to be a nice balmy temperature over in Minneapolis. That is definitely a good point. But I'm still rolling with the Gophers. I like what they're able to do against Michigan in that second half, and I'm not trusting USC at the moment on the road. So I'm rolling with the Gophers.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Blake, for coming on. We are hoping and praying. I think, I'm going to say it. I think we got our first Superdog win from a guest picker. There are 11 points available.
Yeah.
Sam, how many do you think you got? How many will he get out of 11?
With the, I'm gonna go 6.
6 out of 11. Are you going to take that?
Come on, man. Come on.
Now I'm going to ask you, Blake, how many out of 11 did you get?
Oh, I got to get all 11.
You got all 11. I love to hear it.
Go home, right? Go big.
We love the confidence.
We love the confidence. Thanks so much, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Hope to see you guys soon and be back on sometime.
No doubt. All right. Thank you so much, Blake, for being this week's guest picker. Sam, is he going to be the first one to get a Superdog?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
The streak continues, according to Sam. But, of course, before we wrap up, we are going to answer a few questions. The first one is from Dana Riley, and she wants to know if you could have dinner with one current college football coach, who would it be and why?
Yeah, this is a super interesting one. Obviously, one coach pops up in everybody's mind. It's the Coach Prime, I think, is an answer a lot of people would come up with. But for me, Iowa fans, you might want to plug your ears for this one. I'm going to have to go with Nebraska's Matt Rule, man.
Ooh.
I just think I hate to say this. I just really like the guy. And it's a guy I don't want to like, but he's just such a likable guy. He's had a crazy journey of kind of building up. He did it at Baylor. He built that program up to like big time bowl games, and then unfortunately left and did that NFL thing, which didn't turn out great for him.
Every college coach does, and quickly finds out it's not the same as college football.
I mean, he just seems like a dude I'd like to grab dinner and have a beer with. He's just a likable guy.
Yeah, he is a phenomenal college football coach.
Yeah.
He did it at Temple, got the Baylor job. He did it at Baylor, coming off the whole Art Briles situation. And then, obviously, all indication is that he's on his way to doing it again at Nebraska. So this guy can certainly turn around a college football program. Yeah, and he just looks like a good dude. Has the whole NFL, the NFL experience to talk about for sure. But mine, Sam, this guy is interesting. So this guy made headlines recently. I'd never heard of this guy before, I think last week. And I think you might have been the one to tell me about him. But I'm going to go with Biff Poggi. You heard that name correctly. Biff Poggi, the head coach for the Charlotte 49ers.
Yes.
Now, this guy, his story is unbelievable. He has been, he's gotten pretty famous recently. Of course, he always wears a cutoff shirt for all of their games. Every single one, he wears a cutoff shirt. And that rocks. I think he's 65 years old, bigger guy. He's just sitting there wearing a cutoff shirt on the sidelines. Now, that's the reason why I chose him. And I was just looking into his story a little bit. He coached for 20 years at a local high school. You know what he was also doing for those 20 years?
What's that?
Becoming a millionaire.
Oh, nice.
And running a hedge fund startup he started in the 80s.
This dude rocks.
So he was a hedge fund guy, made a fortune, coached football the entire time, then stopped coaching high school football to help his good friend. You may know him by the name of Jim Harbaugh.
Nice.
He was the associate head coach in Michigan in 2021 and 2022. And then last year in 2023, got the head coaching job at Charlotte. So this guy has helped turn around a major college football program, ran a hedge fund, coached college. Oh, and he only wears a cutoff. This guy rocks. And his name is Biff Poggi.
That's awesome.
So his real name is Francis Xavier, but his
Biff.
nickname is Biff. Biff Poggi. Respect him.
That's awesome.
That rocks. But our next question is coming from my mom, Carrie Dislin. She wants to know, we're going back to NFL rules because they always are changing stuff and it is tough to follow. But she wants to know, what do we think about the NFL kickoff rules? Because she was excited for the idea that she thought maybe there would be some more kickoff returns, and everyone loves the kickoff return. It's some of the most exciting stuff. Devin Hester made a whole career out of it. But it's not looking like their new rules are leading to that many more, not that many more returns. And so how do we do this? Do you like their new rules, and how do they encourage more kickoff returns? Because the rules don't seem to be working.
Yeah. It really hasn't changed. I mean, I'm pretty neutral about the new rule. Like, it seems they're getting just as many touchbacks as we were a year ago. As for fixing it and encouraging more, I mean, just like moving the kickoff start back to where you have to boot it 80 yards to touchback. I mean, that's the only easy way. I'm sure the NFL can get creative, but that's kind of my thought process. But like,
yeah,
I'm pretty neutral on the new rules for sure.
I don't know why they don't do that, because the whole reason they didn't want to move it back is because they didn't want them people colliding.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point of the new rule is to avoid people colliding. Keep the kicking team lined up where they are and just move the kicker back.
Yeah.
Like, that should work just fine. But Sam, there's something I don't get about the kickoff. It's kind of bothered me for a while. So in football, let's say I'm throwing it to you like at midfield. You catch it at midfield. You get 1 foot in. This is the NFL. You get 1 foot in the field of play and then 1 field on the white.
Okay.
Is that a catch?
So 1 foot.
1 foot in the field of play, 1 foot on the white. Is that a catch?
No.
Let's say I throw it to you in the end zone. You catch it. You get 1 foot in the end zone. You get 1 foot on the white. Is that a catch?
No.
So what you're saying is out of bounds is out of bounds, no matter where it is on the field.
Yeah.
So why on a kickoff, when you kick it out of bounds, it's a penalty. They get the ball at the 40. But when you throw it out the back of the end zone, which is also out of bounds, that rule doesn't apply.
Yeah. That's a really good thought.
Why
I never thought about it like that.
Why does that rule not apply? Like, I understand if you land it in the end zone, there's not much you can do about it. But when you boot it out the back, it's out of bounds. Like,
I never thought
and if you kick it out of bounds off the side, it's out of bounds is out of bounds. I don't really understand that rule, to be honest with you. And I think that could be an interesting way to do it, where if you kick it out of bounds, and similarly with kicks, that land inbounds but are moving to the side. At any point, if it goes out of bounds, that's the penalty. So you should make it to where if they land it in the end zone, returners can either just catch it for a touchback, or they can play the game and let it bounce and see if it bounces out of bounds for a potential ball at the 40. But then if it doesn't, they have to go recover it, and it's a race to go recover it. I think that could be really interesting. So I think discouraging teams from just booting out the back with the out of bounds rule that for some reason doesn't apply would be a big one.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, just moving the kicker back, because again, you've taken the collision out of it with lining people up where you line them up. So why don't you just move the kicker back?
Yeah.
That's my thought.
Or just like set up like a regular punt.
Yeah, or just do like, or just, you know what, you could just. Does anyone care about the ball flying through the air? I don't. Get the return of the ball, start them at the goal line, and just
there you go.
Ref and have them lined up where they are. Right now, have the ref put his hand up and go blow the whistle and say, "All right, go," and you gotta tackle them.
There you go.
It'll be more exciting than kickoffs.
Yeah,
the way they currently have it.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I don't care if the ball flies through the air or not. But that's going to wrap it up for episode 143, an action-packed episode. Recap the NFL. Of course, well, first we started with winners and losers. Recap the NFL and college football slate. We had a little MLB playoff talk, and of course, we wrapped it up with Pick'em. Our guest picker, Blake. Let's see how he does, and with a couple of questions. But make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube. Episodes are always more enjoyable when you watch them on YouTube. Crunch Time with the N326 duo on YouTube. And then follow us on X, TikTok, and Instagram at crunchtime_pod. But the clock has run out on this episode, and we'll see you in the next one on Crunch Time.